Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Matt. Today I want to talk about goal time frames and how you can apply this to your language learning process. When you think about goals, I like to think of it in four kind of main time measurements. So you have daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. And I think all are very important in different ways, but using each of those kind of in an important kind of context is very important. The first thing, I think it's very important to have yearly goals or maybe your longer term state goal because really what a year is a nice measurement of time, right? It's close enough where it feels like you can kind of measure it, you can have some degree of certainty of achieving it, but it's longer term enough to kind of set up a nice goalpost about where you want to be. And when you start going into time frames like 3 years or 5 years or things like that, there's a lot more uncertainty with life. There's a lot of different dynamics that could happen. And it's good to kind of just set something up at that point, just so that it's there. It's a rough guidepost, but a year is a nice kind of way to establish some very clear guidelines, but have kind of the idea where you want to be, but then clear benchmarks about, your overall knowledge in the end of the day. So definitely have like a year goal if you can about where you want to be with the language, what you want to accomplish, things like that. Now, I think the actual second most important goal time frame is actually the weekly time period because the reality is, on a daily time frame, life is volatile, life is tricky, and it just sometimes is very hard to hit those daily goals every single day. Now, it's going to depend on what's going on in your life, what is your individual situation, but I like weekly because it kind of helps to take all of that kind of volatility out of the picture for the most part, right? Because let's say that you just have a really busy day and you just couldn't get language learning in, right? Well, you shouldn't really punish yourself too much for missing your daily goal targets. Maybe you just felt very sick or the first part of your week was very busy, but you can make up for it in the week. So the weekly goals kind of help to eliminate the volatility of the daily goals, right? And allows you to have kind of just a constant time measurement that here's the amount of progress you want to achieve every single week, but you don't have to be so obsessed about hitting the daily targets when life comes up or volatility happens. So what I like to do is just basically take a daily goal that you would want to do and then just multiply it by 7 or 5 if you only want to do weekdays, and then there's your weekly target, right? So in essence, you're still achieving the daily targets, but you're just achieving it over a longer time frame, so the weekly time frame. And let's say you just had a very busy Monday, but you can make up for it on Friday or Saturday or Tuesday or throughout the week. I think daily targets can be a good thing, though. Not to say that you shouldn't set them because they kind of help inform your weekly goal in of itself. But daily goals can be great, especially for things like listening on your commute to work every single day. Um, it could be just kind of this attempt or this idea to learn new words every single day. Maybe you won't get that every single day. Maybe things come up, but the idea is there to kind of help to make it a consistent aspect of your routine. Then there's kind of this monthly goal aspect. And, I think with monthly goals, it's more of just kind of these check marks to hopefully help you to get to the yearly targets, right? So maybe you're just kind of individually checking in to make sure that you're on track to hit those yearly targets. So I want to know a certain amount of words by this period of time, or I want to start speaking by this period of time, like 3 months down the line, or at the end of this month. Because a lot of times what happens is that people will create yearly goals and they just fail to check up on them until they review them at the end of the year and they're like, oh well, like, I did not get there, or oh, I totally got there. They just don't check up on it. And the monthly goals kind of help to kind of keep you accountable to make sure that you're still on that track. You're still you're like on track to hit those yearly targets, but also kind of it sets you a little bit longer time frame to hit certain targets that maybe feel like a little bit out of reach from the week, right? Maybe it's either to start speaking, knowing a certain amount of words, and things like that. And so really it's just those kind of four time measurements that I would stick to when you're creating goals or you're reviewing your goals and things like that. I think it's also worth pointing out that it's important to always be reviewing your goals. If you can add an aspect of tracking them or accountability, the better, right? Definitely be checking your goals as frequently as you can. And if you're tracking them, obviously you're kind of doing that process in of itself, especially on a daily or weekly basis. I think it adds a lot when you're looking at those goals, you're looking at those measurements on a daily and weekly basis to keep you motivated, to keep your progress going at a nice fair rate. And it really just does help quite a bit. But don't just review the daily and weekly targets, definitely review the longer term ones, especially the yearly ones, because ultimately that's kind of the target you set for where you want to be a year from now or in the longer term. And it's important to just kind of double check to see, hey, does this goal still make sense? Do I need to ramp it up? Is it not going to happen? How do I want to adjust? So always just be reviewing your goals as well, and make sure they make sense in the daily, the weekly, the monthly, and the yearly time frame. So that's what I had to say. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.